All right. Welcome back to Meeting of the Minds. We're here today with the great Barry Dean from Alabama.
Good to be here, Gene.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, just wanted to talk about what athletes can be doing during this time, coaches can be doing. Obviously, as we shoot this, we're during the whole Corona national lockdown. What do you see coaches doing? What do you see athletes doing? What do you think they should be doing?
Well, coaches, we do it with the Alabama Baseball Coach Association. We're doing some hot stove Zoom sessions, stick and ball. I think you're doing some stuff. There are a lot of things going on. All this Zoom stuff is going crazy. If we were inside traders, Gene, we'd have stock in Zoom.
Right.
We already bought a bunch of stock in Zoom before Corona hit. Man,
and cardboard.
No. Yeah. Toilet paper, right?
Right.
But I think a lot of coaches are learning more, spending more time to learn knowledge, whether it's these sessions online or talking to other coaches when they can't be out practicing and so forth. I think a lot of that's going on now. The players could get on some internet stuff and see some clinics going on and see some drills going on when they're always playing more. Nowadays they all play. The instruction's kind of fallen by the wayside for some of these players, I think, by all means. And I think, they can be online and/or they can still do some individual work, hitting off a tee. I know kids got places they can be, still taking some ground balls or working out, running, lifting, getting stronger. There's still a lot of things you can do.
Sure. Yeah, that's one of the things we always say. There's always a way to get better, right? You just have to be creative, asking yourself the right questions. How can I get better, as opposed to why am I stuck here?
That's right. Well, take a lemon and make lemonade, right?
That's right. So what kind of things do you see coaches doing on Zoom? So are they working more technically, skills? Is it mentally? Is it a combination of both? Are they talking about strength training, how they could be working on their conditioning?
Everybody, I know stick and ball, Jeremy Sheetinger's done a great job, and he's brought a lot of college coaches, softball and baseball, and some professional coaches on. They're talking everything from skills and mechanics, hitting and fielding and pitching, to practice organization. They've had all kind of good speakers on there. We've had a lot of guys on. Geez Louise, we're blessed to have Tom Glavine on and Tim Hudson and Butch Thompson, the head coach at Auburn, the other night to talk pitching.
It's great.
We've had we're going to have Perry Hill on this Thursday, who's one of the best infield instructors on the planet for the Seattle
Excellent.
Mariners. But just a lot of guys. So we're talking skills and drills, the mental part. Yeah, Nate Trotsky, the Milwaukee Brewers scout, who's a huge national speaker. We had him on a couple of weeks ago with Trent Mongero. Nate's a huge mental guy as far as training goes and just the way you approach the game. Great instructor as well. But I think it's a little bit of everything going on with these Zoom sessions, from physical coaches, techniques to the mental part of the game that they're all talking about and trying to learn from each other on.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about coaches' conventions? Because now a lot of those have been getting canceled. Are they doing them virtually now?
I don't know. That's above my reach there. Our convention is in January. A lot of the state association baseball coaches conventions are around the January time frame. The American Baseball Coaches Convention is the first weekend in January. A lot of our state conventions come after that. Our state in Alabama, the Alabama High School Athletic Association, does a huge all sports clinic and games in July. For now, that is still on. I don't know. Haven't heard it's been canceled officially. Our AHSAA does a great job of governing our sports and of promoting our sports, and our summer event is wildly successful in Montgomery. So I don't know if that's been canceled yet. The blessing for us is Troy University is very progressive, and they host the Alabama Baseball Coach Association All-Star event. 120 underclassmen from all around the state. We're on go to do it because Troy University, the chancellor is Dr. Jack Hawkins, who's a former Marine, and he's moving forward with health restrictions in line. But right now, we're on to do our All-Star event either in late June or early July, only because we're waiting on to see if the Division I coaches can go out. The NCAA is holding everybody hostage, and I understand they've got to be cautious. I understand that, but if the NCAA lets these college coaches, Division I and II and III coaches, go out and not keep them in the recruiting box in timeout because of the virus, then we're going to host our event because Troy University is very progressive. So the blessing is for now we're not closed down for the summer. But we got to wait and see when the NCAA lets these guys go out.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully.
Amen.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Amen.
Right. Absolutely. But what can we do? Right. So I guess what are some practical things that athletes should be telling themselves during this period of time? Obviously, we speak a lot about mindset, staying positive, being resilient, seeing opportunity during adversity. How does a kid approach this? Maybe he was going into his senior year.
That's right. That's right. You know, Gene, that's $1 million question, man. And that's come up before. And a very good friend of mine that coaches here in Alabama, one of our longtime most successful coaches, his kid's a senior, and he's coaching his kid up in Birmingham, Alabama. His kid had thrown 4 games, a little left-handed pitcher, and had done incredible. He was coming off back surgery. His son's had some scoliosis or whatever, some back stuff all his life. And he came off another back surgery as a junior year. And my buddy really is very level-headed and one of our best states coaches. And he said he wasn't going to promote his kid because he was, worried about him coming back. Well, he comes first 4 games, he's absolutely dominating. Kind of a soft-throwing lefty, but can really pitch. And now his son wants to play more likely community college baseball. We have 18 community colleges in Alabama that play baseball, so we're blessed to have that many 2-year colleges. But, and it's like I said to him, there's a logjam there for these high school kids because, the 4-year kids get a year back. They all get a year back, but the seniors aren't leaving. A lot of them are staying. Now your sophomores in junior college get a year back. So a lot of sophomores in junior college aren't leaving. So the seniors, you're right. There's that logjam for seniors who are coming out of high school. They had their senior year taken from them, and now they kind of sort of, unless they're a stud, they're kind of like, but I'm just talking about Alabama. The blessing for us, and I'll say this for any community college, because I used to coach community college baseball when I was a coach, and that's my passion, that level. It's still a land of opportunity, man. If you don't have a scholarship, if you find a coach who will let you walk on for that fall, then you get to stay out there all fall and inter squad a lot. And community colleges, you can play up to 20 games in the fall. Community colleges against outside competition. You can earn your keep, man. So it's old fashioned to where you have to go out there, walk on, if you don't get a scholarship. And there's a logjam, and earn your keep. And if you do get a scholarship as an incoming freshman, you're still in a logjam. You're competing against sophomores and the freshmen again from the year before. So any way you look at it, there's going to be some, I say to say the word carnage, but there's going to be some people. It's just everybody, you can't avoid that. The NCAA did the right thing by giving the year back. But now there's a major, and I've talked with we had Troy's head coach, Mark Smart, Troy University here in Alabama, and Jacksonville State University, Jim Case, 2 longtime, very successful coaches. We had them on our hot stove last Thursday, and that question came up, and I asked them the same question you're asking me. And this is going to be a 4 or 5 year period where these guys are backed up. It's not just 1 year, because now you got these guys backed up the last few years to work it out of the system. And there's going to be some, this year's the 1 year they're giving the extra scholarships to the NCAA. After this, it goes back to normal. So you're going to have a fallout this year and the next few years. And it's like you're saying, man, you got to be as positive as you can and look at it as an opportunity and not a roadblock. And you know this, and a lot of people know this, the ones who are successful in this life, they take that lemon and they squeeze it and make lemonade. You use it to your advantage. Abraham Lincoln was famous. I've got it on my wall right here. Abraham Lincoln didn't quit. He fell like 12 times. Everybody knows that. He fails like 12 major times before he succeeds. And when he did succeed, he was president of the United States. Failed running for the Senate, failed running for vice president, failed in business, had nervous breakdowns. Boom, he hits the jackpot. But he was learning all that time. Obviously, it was stepping stones and not stumbling blocks. All those failures he had. So, is this a stepping stone for us coaches and players, or is it a stumbling block? And I'm making the best out of it in Alabama by holding hot stove sessions, and myself. And I've learned real quick. There's a lot of benefit coming out of that, and a lot of fruit coming out of it. And I'd have never done this had this not happened. And other people too, these Zoom sessions. So as players and coaches, the same thing. You got to find ways to be successful. And the ones who are, they do it. I've been to the Dominican Republic several times, Gene. I went last February 28th to March the 10th of 2019. I've been there several times before that. And I have a huge passion for that country. The poverty is just right there in your face when you leave the airport. But the baseball passion is right there in your face when you're in the airport and you leave the airport going into the country. And those people do great things with nothing, man. We're so spoiled in this country, and I'm as spoiled as anybody, but they do phenomenal things with a milk carton. You know, the shortstops, you have a milk carton out there until someone gives them a glove, or they're barefoot or playing in flippers before someone gives them a pair of shoes. They're on the playgrounds every day playing. So they get to the big leagues, man. And they're great ball players, and they start out in very humble beginnings. Well, we're in very humble beginnings right now. Who's going to take a ball right now and throw it against the wall, Gene? What better fielding can you – I grew up doing it at my age, 54. I was throwing the ball against the wall. I was Dave Concepcion for the 1975 Reds, man, making plays in the World Series, throwing the ball against the wall every day. That's Perry Hill. Perry Hill, who I have on Thursday, Seattle Mariners infield coach, who's one of the infield gurus on this planet. He has his guys at spring training every morning throw a ball against the wall and catch it. And he teaches proper fielding fundamentals to them. It blows me away. I'm not Perry Hill infield guru, but it blows me away that I grew up doing that. And even before I heard Perry say that, I promote that to high school. I promoted that to dads coaching their kids and the coaches too. Throw the ball against the wall. Can we do that now, Corona? Sure we can. So there are plenty of things you can do. Hit tees, or everybody has a tee and they can use a tee and hit into a net. So there's so much we can do now. It goes back to desire and how do you really want to get good, or do nowadays you just want to play games? Play, because I'm playing travel ball all the time and I don't really want to practice. But now's the time to practice and get better. It's a blessing for some guys to practice and get better and work on their skills instead of just go out and play and reinforce bad habits. Man, you can go online, you know this, you can go online and see videos right now by great instructors for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I can watch that video and go work on my swings right now. If I'm a high school kid, I'm smart enough to figure out, see what he's talking about right there. So that answer is longer than you wanted, but anyway.
No, that's phenomenal. I'm happy to hear you elaborate on it. It's great. And it's true. It's anytime there's a massive adversity situation that everyone's affected by, and I feel like there's always a changing of the guards, whether it's sports, whether it's business. Some people, it ends their career, or they're never the same after, and others come back stronger and better because they've capitalized on the opportunity. And it's just being able to see, what is the opportunity here? How can I get better? Like you said, that, and even going back to what did people do? Asking parents, asking grandparents, what did you do before a lot of this information was available and at your fingertips? Throwing the ball against the wall. You're visualizing. You're Dave Concepcion, the big red machine. What credentials, right? So you're thinking that, and you're sparking that creativity. You're getting excited, and like you said, YouTube, the amount of information that's there that parents, grandparents never had.
Crazy. Nutrition,
mindset.
That's right.
The whole thing.
That's right. It's a very, very good friend of mine owns a restaurant here in Montgomery, Alabama. He owns several Chappie's Delis. I'll give him a shout out. He'll take it all around the country. Yeah. But he owns Chappie's Deli, and there's several of them, 3 in Montgomery and 1 in Auburn, 1 in Prattville, right around Montgomery. But, as soon as the corona hit, this guy is a genius. He said, we're going to have a car hop, old-fashioned car hop. So he did it before anyone else did it. He put numbers in the parking lots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Smart.
And he kept his servers working. So instead of waiting tables, they were waiting cars, just like the Sonic and all these people do. But he was a dine-in deli, a nice place, and very, very popular in Montgomery and in Auburn and surrounding areas. But as soon as the corona hit, he said, I'm going to do a car hop, keep my servers working. And he's survived. He has survived. I don't, obviously not like he's been before, but he's surviving and kicking. And as we're coming out of this thing on our restaurants, are being able to open tomorrow in Alabama as we speak, but at a 50% capacity. But once again, that's him making the adjustment, being creative. And there's just, and it's the same as you're saying the mindset. In the baseball game, a beautiful sunny day, there's no coronavirus, and people are going through pain and suffering because they're 0 for 3. Right. So corona's got nothing to do with that. So baseball people, we're used to pain and suffering every day. As you all know this, if you're successful 3 out of 10 times at the plate, you're a huge success. The other time, 7 times, you're, quote, looked at as a failure. And so what do we do, baseball folks, to be successful those 3 times? You got to handle those 7 failures really well. So we're used to pain and suffering on a beautiful sunny day with green grass and no corona. So you got to take that during the corona time or any time in your life. Arm injuries, you're on the rehab, you pull a hamstring, you got tendonitis, He had to go see the doc for the shoulder. You got on a daily basis, you got to make the adjustments and take that lemon and make lemonade. So the people who are the strongest in the mind, and I know that's your main topic there, the strongest in the mind and the positivity, they're going to be the ones who take that lemon and squeeze it and make lemonade. And from the business people to all kind of people, everyday people, that's what my buddy did at the deli here in Montgomery. And you've got to look to other people. If you can't find that within yourself, you got to look to other people who are positive, like you're saying, the positivity, and go to them and say, hey, help me out with this. I'm struggling with this. I've got a spiritual director. You know, I'm Catholic. I'm into my faith, but someone told me a few years ago, a friend of mine who was way ahead of me in faith, they said, Barry, you ought to get a spiritual director. And I never heard of that before. But it's a coach. It's a spiritual coach. And just like we have coaches in baseball and football and business coaches every day. Well, they said, you ought to get and I said, what is it? You know, who is that? I kind of had an idea, but I tell me about it. So they told me about it. And I seeked out a priest who I knew well and felt comfortable with. I asked him and he said, yeah, Barry, let's do it. If it doesn't work, I'm not offended. Don't come back. But it's been several years. It's been a great thing. And it's been a direction for me. And we all need that. So go to people. If you can't generate that positivity yourself, Gene, you're talking about, go to someone that you see and you're around and you feel that vibe coming off of them, that positivity, and reach out to them for some guidance.
That's great. So many good points. It's like, as you're making all the points, I'm like, man, this is great. I'm like, I want to get back to this. I want to get back to that. I love how you said about spiritual director. Again, me being Catholic too. I have my spiritual coach also. That's exactly the way I describe it. Anyone who's taking any area of their life serious has a coach. So now during this coronavirus, there's an opportunity for more spiritual direction because you could do things virtually. You could do things that maybe you couldn't have done before. So trying to ramp that up, thinking about what you said about Abraham Lincoln. I think when I calculated his record for politics, it was 3 for 9 or 3 for 12, something like that. Yeah, but one of them was the president of the United States. All the other elections he lost.
No doubt.
So I would think in my mind, a baseball player, a salesman, because they're so used to failing,
oh, yeah, they
should probably be the most resilient out of all sports and all business people, sales and baseball, in my mind.
You're right. It's when I started running the Baseball Coach Association in Alabama, I did it as a volunteer while I was coaching. Yeah. And I really felt the Lord calling me. He hit me over the head for about 4 or 5 years, and my head's pretty thick, to run it full time and to make a full-time living, like a junior college coach's salary. I'm a JUCO coach with a master's degree. And that's how I get paid, is with a master's degree. If you're teaching at Alabama Junior College, or a lot of around the country, if you're paid with a master's degree, you're teaching health or PE or business or science, whatever your master's is in. And that's all I ever wanted to do, is if I want to make money running the Baseball Coach Association full time, just make a master's degree salary. Right. And I had to take that, by being a junior college head coach, take that same really philosophy into my little newfound business world of running our coach association. Right. And yeah, that's that philosophy of just really kind of getting after it in your passion. And, I didn't think I thought it was crazy to even think about doing that, but it's been blessed that it's worked. It's been blessed, but it's that same failure you get in the business world that you look back on as a coach and a player, and it keeps you going. And you know this, a lot of people know this, the ones that succeed and who are the leaders are the ones who can take no. Early on, we are the Montgomery Biscuits. In Montgomery, the Tampa AA team, the Biscuits, everybody laughed at that when we had our name announced. And it's one of the hottest selling minor league stuff in the country, the Montgomery Biscuits. Hey, this is Alabama, man. Biscuits and gravy, brother. That's why we have heart disease rampant. But, hey, that's biscuits and gravy. But their general manager, I became friends with him early on when they were here. 2005 was their first year, and that's when I started running the association full-time for a couple of years and went back into coaching in 2009 and got back out, and now I've been doing it full-time since 2009, the association. But he and I had lunch one day, and we were talking, young general manager, and he was assistant GM, assistant GM, and he goes, I was getting information from him. This guy's younger than I am, but he's a AA assistant GM. So I'm like, dude, tell me. And I was at that age older than him and had a master's degree, but I was seeking knowledge from a guy who's in sales every day. And there's some humility. There's a little bit in me, Gene, a little bit.
We're trying.
I went to him saying, hey man, you know your stuff. And he said, I never will forget him saying this. He said, every no you get is closer to a yeah. Every no you get is closer to a yes. And a lot of business people probably know that saying, and sports people too. But when he said it like that, it resonated with me. So when you're selling, if you're recruiting ball players, every no you get, you got to recruit so many kids to get so many to sign. So every time you're trying to get a sponsor or do something with the association, there's always those no's. And the more successful you get, the more yeses you get. Sometimes
Right.
the lesser no's sometimes because they see your success and want to get on board and be a part of that. But it's that positive mindset. You've hit it. I mean, you brought that up. The positive mindset, it gets us so much further than our physical talents often. It's like, I don't know all the perfect saying here, but the Lord doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
I love it.
But, and you've heard that. A lot of people have heard that saying, well, I don't feel qualified. But if you have the passion and the persistence and the vision, you'll get the qualifications on the job training if that's what it takes. But some people have tons of qualifications, right? And they're on the front porch wishing they could get out and do it.
Yeah.
Or they think about doing it, but they don't do it. And they got qualifications down off the charts. But to get out and do it, you got to have that positivity you're talking about, Gene, and just get after it, man.
Yeah, and a lot of times they have the talent, they have the qualifications, but then when they hit the first roadblock, then it stops them, as opposed to, okay, maybe you hit a roadblock, big deal, you push through it. I love everything you're saying there about being a go-getter, being a hustler. Really, it's about humility. Like you said, I'm willing to learn from anyone. I'm hungry for knowledge, and just being a ferocious learner, like not taking no for an answer. Of course, like learning from our mistakes, but then just fail forward, right? Fail forward.
You're right. I just talked with a friend of mine this morning who's thinking about doing something. They lost their job in Chicago, and they're thinking about doing something else where their heart's really leading them to do it. And it includes faith in sports. And I said, and I know this person pretty well, they're pretty sensitive to failure. And I said, look, now, when you get that first no, you can't get in the corner and suck your thumb and get in the fetal position. And they started laughing. And that's what you just said it. That's what many people do. They get that failure. And I'm a former walk-on in junior college. I tell people I could have gone anywhere in the country and played, but it was going to be as a walk-on. So, and that gets a good laugh. But I walked on to junior college in Chattahoochee Valley. I'll give a shout out to Chattahoochee Valley in Phoenix City, Alabama. But I walked on there, and I was not wanted. And I earned my keep. I earned a scholarship. I became team captain before I left. We won the state championship. We were unbelievably average when we won the state championship. Just got hot at the right time, and I earned a little scholarship to Auburn University at Montgomery. Very humble accomplishments there, believe me. But that persistence and that belief and the stick-to-itness has just propelled me all these years to have any success I've had. And the failures I have, which have been many, I've just gone through them like I did as a walk-on. Like, I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to keep going. We don't have enough time to talk about my failures. We'd be here all day. But as a junior college freshman, that first quarter, we were on quarters back then. Now everybody's on semesters, but we were on quarters, fall, winter, and spring. Now it's just fall semester, spring semester. But the coach wanted to redshirt me, Gene, my first year in junior college, just to lift and get stronger. So I need to lift and get stronger. He wanted to redshirt me. So I redshirted, practiced every day. I went to the weight room on my own because we didn't have a weight program. I went across from Phoenix City, Alabama to Columbus, Georgia. They had a nice weight room right across the river in Columbus, Georgia. Got my own membership and lifted hard. I did squats and I got really wacky. A couple of people helped me to learn what to do. I didn't have a personal trainer,
right?
But a couple of people helped me, and I seek knowledge from I started doing squats on my own. People showed me how to do them. Squats are dangerous. You got to be careful.
Barry, why don't you just go on YouTube and learn how to squat?
Yeah, I know. In 1983, bro. Wasn't no YouTube kicking, but we had HBO, and half the things on there you couldn't watch when Mom was in the house. But just doing that kind of stuff right there, it just it's fueled my fire all these years, and I was seeking it. And but the failure was something I pushed through, and just You're talking about the positivity. That's what separates the winners from the losers, and as you know, business, sports. It doesn't matter. And faith-wise, too, we fail all the time to miss the mark. That crucifix behind me, I'd love to hit that mark every day, brother. But I'm on my knees more often asking for forgiveness than I am claiming victory.
Well, that's right. And I think for people who are taking their spiritual life serious, the failures are the most evident because we fail all the time. How many times are we selfish, even in minor things? And, we're about ourselves. We're stuck inside as opposed to being out and for the other person. So that should be the easiest way where you learn to fail forward.
Well, unfortunately, this is a whole nother topic. We're talking baseball. I know you're a man of faith, but unfortunately, we don't like looking at ourselves, I think, in a spiritual context in our failures. I think we avoid it at all cost. And we can get into that another time, but that's a thing that's easy to rationalize what we're doing when we're doing in a sinful nature, whatever it is. It's easy to rationalize it. Adam and Eve started that deal. We blame them, and it's gone on ever since then. But and we've carried that torch well, unfortunately. So that's one I wish I could get rid of. Every time I do, it kind of jumps back in my hands, and that's on me. But that's something I bet you're right. We battle that all the time, and it's serving others is way better than serving ourselves. And
That's right. And that's why I think when you see the best coaches, the best athletes, or the ones with the perspective, they're looking at baseball as sports as that vehicle to build virtue, like pointing you in the right direction. So it becomes about the life lessons. It becomes about the personal characteristics that are inside, the virtue, really. And sports don't build character if you're not focused on building character. Right. Sports could turn you into a very selfish person. But if you have your perspective, if you're looking at the big picture, if you're blessed with great coaches like yourself that are seeing the totality, spirit, mind, and body, not just as a catchphrase, but as a way of life.
That's right.
And that's really the greatest fruit that sports are going to bear, in my mind.
Not even a question. Not even a question. And it's funny. I just watched the movie, as you know, MLB is showing all the movies now, the baseball movies, the Bull Durhams and the Natural. And I watched a couple last night or the night before, Mr. 3000. With what's the guy, the comedian in there? He's hilarious. But he was selfish trying to get 3,000. His ego was off the charts. And it was hilarious. And then at the end he bunted. Instead of getting his 3,000 hit, he put the bunt down and they won the game. Yeah. And then he retired and didn't get the 3,000 hit. But it was really good. Talking about being selfish and that over sensationalized selfishness of one guy saying I'm a star and Mr. 3000. And but yeah, it's easy. It's just easy to get into that frame of mind. And it's just service beyond ourselves is a huge. When I coached, I did a lot of that. Our kids at community service often. I was trying to get them to take a leading role sometimes on the field, or whether it's doing stretches that day. You being the leader for warm up and stretching that day, you be the leader. I'm going to watch y'all, but you be the leader for this player, or taking the lead on doing field chores in baseball. We can have 25 players doing 25 different things, or brooming, raking the lines, getting the equipment up, blah, blah, blah. There's so much you can do, but it is teaching that humility, and we all need it, no matter how old we are, the humility pill of serving others. And but sports is the best place in the world, I think, to learn virtue, because they want to be out there. You know that. We know that. They want to be out there. They don't want to be in the classroom, and they don't want to be here overall. But they want to be out on the field. They want to play. They want to please the coach, and they want to be in the lineup. So you can use that as an unbelievable vehicle. And I was a very average student, I said before, and I'd miss class in college sometimes. My coach didn't check, and it's not his fault. But I used sports when I coached JUCO ball as a head coach, and it was just the death of the kids if they missed class, unless they were sick. I don't care how good they were. They had to go to class, or I sat them out of game if they missed a class, unless they were really sick. And because I realized the importance, I wish it would have been a stress to me like that. I told my players, guys, I was a bad student and a C average student. So I'm telling you, do better than I did, and I'm going to keep your feet to the fire. And I'm going to make you go to class. I don't care if you make straight A's, but if you go to class every day in college, you're going to make decent grades. Then you got to study and do the work, but don't be blowing class off like I did. So, right. And then just the responsibility and being on time and all those kind of things you can really teach kids, and to do the right thing through sports is just that they want to succeed and play and please you overall. And you can use, like you're saying, you can use those things to really teach the virtues. And if they don't get it now, as you know, and people know, they can always get it a year, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road when they leave you. And sometimes they come back, hey, coach, you know what? I said the mean things about you when I was playing for you that wasn't really nice, but you know what? The light came on at this time in my life, and Coach, man, you were right. And I've had that before said to me, and that's the beauty of it, whether it's now or whether it's later, just like parents, whether it's now or later, the kids, us sons and daughters usually get it somewhere down the road. Yeah.
That's great. Everything we talked about, I feel like a great title for this show would be Humility and Hustle.
Yeah.
I think just everything we talked about, I was even thinking about hustle just bouncing back in my head. Now I'm thinking, and the Big Red Machine, I'm thinking Pete Rose, when he walked, he would run down to first base.
Boy, hustle.
He got a lot of and he got a lot of heat from people about that, like he was hot dogging or showboating, but he was just intense. I mean, you had to appreciate the way the guy played the game, and how whether or not it was a preseason, right? That whole All-Star incident, and they said, well, why'd you take it so serious, the All-Star game? And he said, what's the difference if it's a spring training game? If you're playing to win, you're going to play with hustle and some fire.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Hustle, Charlie Hustle, he was a great example for the everyday guy, for every guy, but everyday guy who should. Yeah, you're right, man. He was phenomenal, and he earned that nickname honestly, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the guy maybe who's not the most talented, but someone who's just going to play hard. And like we're saying, whether it's our faith, whether it's our career, our academics, or our sport, we should be doing it hard, and we're humble, using as vehicle to build virtue. Awesome. We could talk about this all day. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Barry.
Hey, honor to be on, Gene, and hey, just keep doing what you're doing, because you're changing a lot of people yourself and impacting a lot of people. So I applaud you for doing that, and keep spreading the good news, brother.
Thank you. Sounds great, Barry. And we're going to do another one on faith. So hope everyone stays with us for that one. All right.
I'm sitting on go. Thanks, Gene.
Take care.
All right. God bless you, brother.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye-bye.